Hello and welcome, and you may have seen that I'm doing meta talks at the moment, talking about everything that's really important in the upcoming meta, this format with the brand new ban list that we've just got announced and is coming into action on the 29th of August. And as predicted, Blue Eyes is going to be one of the biggest decks of the format. So I had a request to do a deck profile. I actually run two versions of this deck. There's this version, which is the consistent, much more competitive version, and there's also the ritual, more fun version. So without further ado, I'm just going to get into this deck profile and give you some explanation of why I run what I run. So 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon. I did not want to get you this deck profile until I had a high rarity set. I would show you 3 SDK Blue Eyes in mint condition, except I only have 1 in mint condition, 1 in crap condition, and 1 in no even borders. So 3 ulti Blue Eyes it is. You need the card because you need to be able to summon your Blue Eyes alternative White Dragon. There's really not much else to this. This is just essentially your free spam that gets you into your Sync 9s and your Rank 8s. It's very easy. The pop is nice because you're often taking second turn, but other than that, there's not much to this card. It's kind of annoying that you can't revive it, but it's still a fairly nice monster to have. 2 copies of Dragon Spirit of White. We play 2 rather than 1, which featured in the World Champion deck because we play a bit more revival, and we play a card which I'll show you later, which allows you to use this in your opponent's turn, which makes this a much more viable option. And honestly, you kind of want to play that just because you can maximize effectiveness, plus being able to switch this out for one of your Blue Eyes White Dragons while your opponent has monsters can be really important as well for, semi-disruption in the game. 2 copies of Sage with Eyes of Blue. This would be 3, but I'm still waiting on the 3rd one to come to me from Germany. It's been rerouted and it's kind of a pain. But honestly, you can get away with 2 in a lot of situations. The discard effect is very important. A lot of people still ignore that because Summon and Add Veiler is often the use for this card. But definitely being able to discard target monster and switch out for a Blue Eyes is really key to the deck. Then for the stones, we play 3 of Ancients and 2 of Legend. The reasoning behind this is I was looking at the OCG builds initially, and tons of them are running triple cards of consonants. So in this deck, we're trying to maximize consistency. I always really want to do that in my decks because I always find that I end up drawing crap hands. So this really helps your consistency in that these are all searchable with Sage. They're all discardable with cards of consonants, and this is essentially a +1. This can become a +1 in the end phase, or it can add back 1, so they both work exceptionally well with that. Plus, the level 1 tuner is always nice to have. Double Veiler. We are moving into a format where Veiler is very important, especially against Metal Foes, Yang Zings. If they can't get off that one play because you Veiler it, then they essentially lose. Otherwise, you will lose because they'll just put up a board which you cannot compete with. So hand traps are very important. Then onto the spells. Triple trade-in. We need to be able to discard dead alternates, dead additional Blue Eyes, stuff like that. Triple cards of consonants. As mentioned, we want to get through the deck as fast as possible. We want to do it as consistently as possible, so 3 of is pretty nice. 3 Melody of Awakening Dragon. Everyone's going to be playing 3 of this. It's very important to get into your alternative, and it's really easy to do because it's just discard a card. There's no particular cost making this card one of the best searches in the game at the moment, in my opinion. Then for Revival, we play 3 copies of Return, or what was originally called Gospel. The added protection is pretty nice. Then we play 2 copies of Silver's Cry. This is what allows you to use White Spirit Dragon during your opponent's turn, which is absolutely amazing to just banish their spells or traps during their turn. It's fantastic, amazing against Pendulum decks. And the 6th Revival is Soul Charge. I definitely think that 6 Revivals is the right number to help boost consistency for your deck. Some people are maximizing on Shrines and Send the Grave stuff, but honestly, I think with the amount of discard outlets that you have in this deck, this is the right number of Revival cards. Then for Sending to Grave, as mentioned before, double Dragon Shrine would be 3, except you can only use this card once per turn. That's basically the only downside. I'm tempted to run a Foolish, but if I did, then I think I'd have to put in a Glow Up Bulb as well to make the Crystal Wing combos go live. Double Twin Twisters. you're maining this, so you kind of want to go second because it's a blowout against an established board. It's a really good turn 1 against pendulums anyway. Plus, ditching your blue eyes cards into the grave so that you can revive them is always fantastic. And then 1 pot of desires. This would obviously be 3, in which case I would add 2 cards to the deck. This is absolutely fantastic, but I've seen people banish all 3 blue eyes and just basically lose the game because of that. Having the +1 is so relevant, but losing your 3 blue eyes you can't play. So you always play this last, and I don't know, maybe only 2, although 3 is probably worth it, because even if you double draw, it's not that much of a problem if you can get the 1 off. Then onto the traps. We play double Phoenix Wing Windblast. As you can see, I am a scrub, so they're different rarities. I actually have common, secret, and a gold one, and these are definitely the 2 I'd rather play than the gold. This card is great. It's another discard outlet to get your blue eyes cards into the grave. You can trigger your stones with it. Get that, so you can discard a White Stone of the Ancients, send something back to the top of the deck, and then summon your Spirit Dragon in the end phase and banish one of the spells or traps, which is pretty relevant, pretty good. Plus, if you force them to top deck a blue eyes, they basically lose. And Vanity's Emptiness. I've been putting this card in the deck for all of the testing that I've been doing over the last 2 or 3 months, just because it's an absolute blowout. If you set up one, even just a big blue eyes and this, you've basically won the game at that point. There's so little that they can do without spell and trap removal. But that is it for the main deck. So 40 cards, would be 42 if I could add in 2 copies of Desires, but I don't have them. So onto the extra deck, we're playing 2 Blue Eyes Spirit Dragons. This is obviously the main engine card of the deck, because this gets you to so many different plays. It's a negator, it stops the massive pendulum summons, so it's really key. Then double Azure Silver Dragon. You can play this at 1, but I'd always be a bit wary at 1, just because you will often get into the second one and then want to go into this, and then find out that you can't because you've wasted your single one. 1 Stardust Spark Dragon, keeping itself alive, so abusing the Spirit Dragon basically. Michael for problems that you can't deal with normally, and a Black Rose Moonlight Dragon. Again, it just deals with big problem monsters. Plus you can do it in your opponent's turn, which is pretty nice. I don't play the Crystal Wing in this build, just because there's no easy way to get into it in a single turn, because there's no 1-for-1 here and no Foolish. Honestly, this deck is going more for consistency and less for max pushes, and in the mirror match, you will struggle to get around a Crystal Wing, but having a Crystal Wing is essentially not quite as good as having an Emptiness, so I think that tends to do the job. Plus you can side in against people who you know will play Crystal Wing anyway. Then we play a Felgrand, 1 Hope Harbinger, because this can lock out the opponent and win games. Hieratic Sun Dragon, Overlord of Heliopolis, really good card for just blowing up massive fields. It's really useful. I'll say removes problems, so it's pretty nice. And then onto the Galaxy Eye stuff, we have 1 Cypher Dragon, because big eye, but you can turn them into a Dark Matter, which is pretty decent. Then 107, I'm playing this over the Prime, because I think the effect of this is just so much better. The only reason why you really want Prime is to get a 4K beat stick onto the board, which you can do anyway with this into Full Armor Photon, which has the popping, so I think this is honestly the better 2 to go with. And then the last one is, of course, number 95, Galaxy Eyes Dark Matter Dragon, because doing that 8k damage is pretty solid. So that's it for the main deck and extra deck. I'm not going to go through the side deck for this particular video. If you want to know what's in my side deck, it's basically stocked full of Spell and Trap hate, as well as Pendulum hate at the moment. Because the decks that you will see will be this, Metal Foes, and BA are probably the biggest ones at the moment. So you need that effect negation, so like the extra Valor and stuff. But honestly, it really depends on where you're playing and who you know you're going to go up against. So thanks for watching this video. If you have any comments or suggestions that you would like to make, leave those in the comment section down below. If you want to see more about the Blue Eyes deck and just a sort of brief discussion of what some of the cards do, then there's a video that I've done about that. Or if you're interested in Metal Foes, ABCs, or DDDs, Metamorphoses are already up, and ABC and DDD will be on the way very soon, so feel free to check out those. And also, as soon as I finish recording this video, I'm going to start recording for the fun version of this deck, so stay tuned for that too, with some combos.
All that's left is a window to my soul. Come and get it.